Cowboys Nation, we need to talk about the state of this defense. It has been a rough season for America's team, and a lot of fans are wondering how long we can tolerate what's been happening on the defensive side of the ball. Allowing 30 points per game simply cannot continue, and it's clear that change is overdue. There's a growing sense among the fan base that the team needs to take a serious look at the defensive coordinator position, because what we've seen under Matt Eberflus just isn't cutting it. It doesn't matter how much continuity you think you're preserving. Keeping a coordinator who consistently struggles only hurts the team in the long run. Continuity is great when it produces results, but when it doesn't, it becomes a liability. The Cowboys have been through a lot of turnover in recent years at this position, but the argument here is simple. For defensive coordinators and for years is frustrating, yes, but staying with a bad system out of fear of instability is far worse. The search for a new defensive coordinator cannot be a half-hearted effort. There needs to be a real process, one where the front office casts a wide net and looks for someone who can make an immediate impact. Too often in the past, hires have felt personal or convenient rather than strategic. Whether it was bringing in someone because of a previous relationship or familiarity, those decisions have not always produced the results the team hoped for. What the Cowboys need now is someone who can bring fresh ideas, someone willing to push the defense in the right direction, and someone who has the ability to elevate this unit to a level that matches the offensive production. It's about hiring for capability, not comfort. When discussing potential candidates, it's important to evaluate a mixture of proven veterans, experienced assistants, and even up-and-coming coaches who might bring innovative approaches. Names like Al Harris come up frequently among fans for good reason. His work with defensive backs in Chicago has produced measurable success. And though there are questions about past management of players like Trevon Diggs, the time has come for Harris to earn a chance at a coordinator role. Learning from mentors like Dennis Allen may have helped him grow as a strategist, and an interview at the very least would be justified to gauge his readiness. While he may not be handed the job out right, he represents the type of candidate who brings both familiarity and the potential for innovation. Bridging the gap between the past defensive schemes and something new, other familiar names exist. But caution is warranted. Coaches like Ken Norton Jr. have history with the team and connections through previous stints, but past performance as a defensive coordinator in Seattle and Oakland was inconsistent at best. Similarly, returning to veterans like Mike Zimmer might seem tempting for continuity's sake, but previous results suggest that this may not be the solution. Internal options like Aaron White, who is currently a D-line coach, could be considered in the event of a mid-season departure. Yet the risk remains that promoting from within may not create the transformational change the defense desperately needs. It's a delicate balance between experience, opportunity, and the ability to challenge the status quo beyond those who are familiar. There are coaches who have emerged as strong candidates due to shifts in other organizations or recent regime changes. Brian Flores, for example, has had success leading defenses elsewhere and is technically available due to an expiring contract, though the practical likelihood of securing him may be slim. Similarly, other coaches like Jonathan Gannon, currently the head coach in Arizona, have demonstrated strong defensive principles but could become available if circumstances change within their organizations. Exploring these possibilities is part of the strategic approach the Cowboys need to take, because sometimes the best hires come from unexpected places. At the same time, evaluating younger coaches who have shown promise in other roles can also yield benefits. Coaches like Jim Leonhard, who have experience building defenses at multiple levels and outside the standard candidate pool, represent opportunities to inject creativity into the defensive playbook. Finding someone willing to think differently, to push the defensive staff beyond what is comfortable, can often lead to significant improvements. There's a long list of assistants and position coaches who have been gaining attention for innovative schemes, and it's critical that the Cowboys front office does not ignore the potential in these emerging talents. Upside, adaptability, and a willingness to implement bold strategies are traits that could drastically improve the defense if the right hire is made. The challenge, of course, is assessing risk. Not every candidate with promise has proven experience calling plays as a coordinator. It's a gamble, but sometimes calculated risk is what separates teams that plateau from teams that rise to the next level. Whether it's an up-and-coming defensive backs coach, a former coordinator looking for redemption, or a creative mind with a track record in other programs, the search must be exhaustive. It's not enough to rely on names that are familiar or readily available. The team must pursue candidates who can fundamentally enhance the defense. Someone who will hold players accountable, inspire effort, and adjust schemes dynamically throughout the season. This is a moment where leadership and vision intersect. The Cowboys have an opportunity to set the tone for years to come by selecting a defensive coordinator who is more than just a stopgap. Fans want to see a defense that can compete at the highest level, match up against the elite offenses in the league, and deliver consistency on game day. There is a need for both a tactical mind and a motivator, someone who will challenge players to perform beyond what they've shown in recent seasons. The expectation isn't just incremental improvement. It's meaningful change that elevates the entire unit, whether that comes from a seasoned veteran, a former head coach ready for a new role, or a bold, young innovator. The Cowboys must act decisively with all these considerations in mind. The list of potential candidates grows, including both internal and external options, EXPRIENCED and emerging coaches alike. Evaluating each requires more than just familiarity or reputation. It requires careful assessment of past performance, adaptability, and strategic fit. The Cowboys cannot afford to repeat past mistakes. Hiring based on convenience or connections alone, each decision carries weight, and the right hire could set the team on a path toward a more consistent, formidable defense. Now more than ever, America's team needs a coordinator who can step in, take control, and produce tangible results on the field. The next choice has the potential to shape the defense for years and redefine how the team competes in the league. As we dive deeper into the search for a new defensive coordinator, it becomes clear that the Cowboys must balance ambition with practicality. The league is filled with coaches who have made their mark in specific roles, but have yet to prove themselves in the full responsibility of calling a defense. Finding someone who combines tactical intelligence with leadership is key, because the challenges facing this defense are not just schematic, they are cultural and motivational as well. Players need clarity, discipline, and a coach who can instill a sense of urgency without burning them out. That's the fine line that separates an average coordinator from an elite one, and the Cowboys cannot afford to hire anyone who falls short in either area. When examining potential candidates, the concept of up-and-coming coaches is intriguing. These are coaches who have demonstrated strong decision-making, adaptability, and an ability to get results with limited resources. Someone like Jim Leonhard stands out not just because of his experience, but because of his willingness to challenge conventional thinking. Bringing in a coordinator who is not simply a recycled name from previous years could inject new energy into the defensive unit, forcing players to adjust to new techniques and strategies that could elevate overall performance. It's a risk, certainly, but the payoff could be significant if the right personality and skill set are matched with the team's needs. At the same time, there are experienced coordinators who may have had mixed results elsewhere but still possess valuable insights. Coaches who have led defenses through challenging personnel situations, who understand how to adjust schemes mid-game, and who have a track record of developing talent, cannot be ignored. Brian Flores, for example, brings a disciplined approach to defense, emphasizing structure and adaptability. While there may be contractual or practical barriers to acquiring him, evaluating what he offers helps define the type of leadership the Cowboys should pursue. The challenge is identifying those whose philosophies align with the team's strengths and who can navigate the specific roster limitations currently present. Internal candidates should also be part of the conversation, though history has shown that promoting from within doesn't always yield transformative results. Coaches who have been part of the staff for years may have deep relationships with players, but familiarity alone is not enough. The Cowboys need someone who can challenge the status quo, someone who can question habits that have gone unaddressed, and someone who can innovate in high-pressure situations. The balance between continuity and fresh perspective is delicate, but leaning too heavily on either side could undermine the goal of creating a defense that is both reliable and dynamic. Another layer to consider is the impact of former head coaches who are now available as coordinators. Coaches who have led teams in the past bring experience in overall team management, but their transition back to a coordinator role must be handled carefully. Someone like Jonathan Gannon, currently leading Arizona, has displayed a strong understanding of defensive fundamentals, and while his current situation is unstable, his availability could present a rare opportunity to bring in a high-level mind accustomed to managing complex defensive units. The key is not just hiring a name, but hiring a coach whose philosophies and leadership style match the current roster and the organizational goals. Emerging defensive innovators cannot be overlooked. Coaches like Aubrey Pleasant, Ron Jones, and Christian Parker have gained recognition for their ability to create schemes that maximize player strengths, particularly in the secondary. The modern NFL is driven by passing efficiency, and the ability to craft a secondary that can neutralize elite quarterbacks is essential. Each of these coaches has demonstrated both technical knowledge and the ability to inspire confidence in players, which is just as important as the X and O's. Their growth trajectory suggests they could step into a coordinator role with proper support, and exploring these candidates ensures the Cowboys remain forward-thinking in their approach. Risk-taking is an inherent part of building a successful defense. Some candidates may not have prior experience as a coordinator, but have exhibited strong leadership and innovation in other roles. This is where calculated gambles can pay dividends. Antonio Pierce, for instance, has limited experience calling plays in college, but has shown a keen understanding of defensive alignment and personnel management. Jared Mayo, while not a traditional play caller, brings the perspective of a former player with a modern understanding of defensive responsibilities. Sometimes introducing someone with a fresh perspective and unconventional path creates an energy that seasoned coaches cannot replicate, and this type of hire can invigorate both the staff and the roster. The importance of chemistry between the coordinator and the front office cannot be overstated. Coach must understand the personnel available, the long-term goals of the organization, and how to develop young players while maintaining competitiveness. This requires more than strategy. It demands communication, collaboration, and a shared vision. A coordinator who can translate complex schemes into actionable instructions for players, while also adapting to the strengths and weaknesses of the roster, becomes an extension of the leadership on the field. Without that alignment, even the most brilliant schemes can fail to produce results. Beyond X and O's, there is a psychological component to building a dominant defense. Players must trust their coordinator, respect his decisions, and buy into a culture of accountability. This requires someone who can motivate without overbearing management, who can adjust mid-game while maintaining clarity, and who can instill confidence in players facing elite competition. It's a combination of mentorship, tactical expertise, and personal leadership that creates a defensive identity capable of withstanding the challenges of an NFL season. The Cowboys cannot underestimate the importance of this dynamic. Before we roll on, subscribe to Cowboys Wire News, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Your support keeps the Dallas Cowboys updates coming. Tell us what you think in the comments. The NFL is buzzing with speculation after Dak Prescott's latest comments about the Philadelphia Eagles, sparking what could become one of the most talked about rivalries this season. Sources close to the Cowboys locker room suggest that Prescott's remarks, which seemed to dismiss the Eagles' current form, were far from casual banter. Insiders say Prescott has grown increasingly vocal about his belief that Dallas is not just competitive, but a tier above the Eagles, a statement that has left fans, analysts, and players across the league scrambling for reactions. While Prescott has often been measured in his public statements, multiple sources indicate that this time he was blunt, almost confrontational, in describing why he believes the Cowboys are the superior franchise. Rumors now suggest that his comments have reached the ears of Eagles key figures, who are reportedly not taking it lightly. This could escalate tensions in one of the NFL's most storied rivalries, especially considering the high stakes each team faces this season. Coaches and players alike are said to be treating Prescott's remarks as more than mere media fodder. They might be a strategic spark to motivate the squad ahead of a crucial stretch of games. Speculation is also mounting about how this could influence the locker room dynamic in Dallas. Some insiders claim Prescott's confidence is infectious, while others caution that overconfidence might backfire if the team underperforms. Meanwhile, the Eagles camp is reportedly plotting a measured response, perhaps using Prescott's bold claims as bulletin board material to fire up their roster. Analysts are debating whether Prescott's statement was a calculated psychological play or simply a spontaneous expression of his competitive mindset. Regardless, the NFL world is watching closely. Prescott's assertion that Dallas is better than Philadelphia has already dominated social media, sports talk shows, and fan forums, generating a flurry of opinions, memes, and heated debates. Could this remark redefine the Cowboys-Eagles narrative this season? Could it intensify an already fierce rivalry to levels rarely seen in recent years? While nobody can predict exactly how it will play out on the field, one thing is clear: Dak Prescott has thrown down a gauntlet, and the entire league is waiting to see who will pick it up. That's a wrap from Cowboys Wire News. For breaking Cowboys updates, subscribe, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Tell us your take in the comments.